All right, so top lawmakers are now responding to President Obama's address last night on Syria. The commander-in-chief postponing a military strike vote in Congress to pursue the diplomatic efforts that have come up over the last 48 hours. And Kentucky Senator Rand Paul says that an attack on Syria, he believes, would not be in our best national interest. Here's what he said.
I think it has nothing to do with our national security. Syria is not a threat to us. What I would say is that stability in the Middle East is an American interest. But I think attacking Assad and destabilizing him empowers or encourages al-Qaeda. It encourages radical Islam that's trying to take over that country. And I'm not sure who's worse. Assad is really bad, but his control of chemical weapons, I'm not sure if that's worse than the al-Qaeda getting the chemical weapons.
All right, rejoined now by KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. KT, welcome back.
Thank you.
What's your response to what Rand Paul said?
I think he was right. I think he's making 2 points. One, the first point is the sort of Reagan point, which is the United States will go anywhere in the world to defend our vital national interests. But it is not a vital national interest of the United States. We don't belong there. We don't belong there with military forces. But I think the second point is the one that sticks with me. Even if we decided this was the right thing to do, what if it goes wrong? Where's plan B? You know, President Obama has said a number of times his goal in attacking Syria would be to deter Assad from using chemical weapons again, degrade his war-making ability, and finally to send a message to the world. Well, all that's fine if plan A works. What if plan A doesn't work? What if Assad decides the next day, I'm not deterred, that pinprick wasn't enough to stop me, I'm going to have another attack? What if he doesn't degrade the forces? Nobody's talking about going to destroy chemical weapons. They're just talking about, destroying, a limited attack that's going to destroy maybe some of his delivery vehicles for delivering chemical weapons. That's not degrading his forces. So my problem with all of it is, Martha, it may not work. Yeah. And it is eerily familiar to what happened with Iraq. And in 2003, Bush administration officials assuring us that as soon as we topple Assad, we will be welcomed with parades and flowers. It's going to be great. Well, there was no plan B then, and there's no plan B now.
Yeah, it is very surprising. I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around a possibility where you basically slap somebody in the face and you just say, look, and if you hit me back, but I'm done. The slap is all I'm doing, you know? It seems illogical to a lot of people, and I think that leads to a lot of this talk about incoherence. I just want to get your thoughts on this story. It was reported by Reuters moments ago that Russia has presented a plan to the United States to get control of Syria's chemical weapons. What do you think about that?
I want to see the small print.
Yeah.
Look, I think that Putin has given Obama an out. Nobody wants, at this point, the American public, Congress, nobody wants, except maybe in the White House in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, nobody wants to attack Syria for the reasons we've just discussed. We all realize there's no plan B. What happens next? But by Putin giving Obama the peace plan, and then reports last night that part of the plan that Russia would get Syria to destroy its chemical weapons, but the precondition was America would have to forswear the use of military force. The Russians don't have the right to tell us that. The decision to use American military forces is made by the President of the United States. It's not even tossed to Congress. And now somehow we're going to let the Russians decide whether we might use military force in the future?
That's something I feel like, there hasn't been enough discussion about, and it seems to just sort of have dropped off the radar. The President didn't mention it last night. He didn't address it. And maybe that was the right thing to do. I mean, maybe the President of the United States would never, stoop to even respond to a suggestion that we're going to take military force off the table, which, of course, we would never do. But Russia could come back to us and say, well, no, actually, there's no chemical weapons deal because you're still threatening to strike.
And then we'd even be in a worse place than we are. I was struck by something that happened yesterday. It was in an obscure Russian newspaper, and it said that Russia has decided that after 6 years of not doing it, it is now going to give Iran the S-300 missile defense system. That to me shows that Russia has decided it is now the big player in the Middle East. America's on the wane. It's going to dictate the terms of peace if there are any in Syria, and then maybe Iran next.
Yeah, I mean, when you look, Russia's gotten beaten up, economically in so many ways. They've had so many losses and missteps over the last decade. What they want more than anything is to regain that pride, and it appears that they're working on that right now, which has a lot of implications. KT, as always, thank you. Great to talk to you.
Thanks, Martha.
Okay.